From the developers of your favorite fantasy series that's never quite final, and the director known for his draconian fashion decisions, comes the next installment of the Disney Square hybrid that you had to wait all the way through your puberty for. Kingdom Hearts 3. Reawaken the nobody that is the Kingdom Hearts series, once hailed as one of the best action-adventure RPGs, that dwindled into obscurity over the course of like decades of handheld spin-offs, to finally be redeemed in a main title 7 years later, that puts you back right where you were all that time ago. Mickey Mouse screaming in your face about the power of friendship.
We are, all of us, together!
Travel to the many iconic Disney worlds of the Kingdom Hearts universe, as you experience the unique cognitive dissonance that only this series can provide, of classic Disney characters having serious conversations about metaphysics with flamboyant, trenchcoat-clad anime boys with 3 X's in their name. And watch in bemusement as the series starts to run out of good Disney properties and has to settle for the slightly less beloved titles, each with a couple unique mechanics or encounters to keep things interesting between 30-minute cutscenes, until you solve their vaguely movie-themed problem and face your reward, getting to use the gummy ship again. Hooray! It just wouldn't be a main Kingdom Hearts title without forcing you to play a bad shooter every couple hours. Dive into the iconic combat of Kingdom Hearts 3, that cobbles together different mechanics from previous games to spice up its PS2-era corridor levels, as you change your Keyblade into different forms to unleash a bevy of particle effects and over-the-top finishers, and has you running up walls, grinding on rails, and twirling around on poles like a cheap stripper, making the already floaty gameplay feel more disorienting than chugging NyQuil on a merry-go-round, until you summon a literal merry-go-round, as you wipe out swaths of enemies with Disney theme park rides, because I guess they weren't quite breaking the fourth wall enough already, in fights where the particle effects are flying so thick and fast that the most relevant combat skill is having any idea what the f*** is going on. Yeah, I'm 90% sure this game is just an attempt to kill epileptic people. Open your heart to the real attraction of the Kingdom Hearts series, the storyline, and see what kind of narrative cluster 18 years and 11 different canonical stories make, as Nomura tries to finally tie everything up in a nice bow that just ends up being a noose for your brain to hang itself with. For the inferior mind, anyway, because actually it's really quite simple. Let me explain. So, Sora, after failing the Mark of Mastery test, has to learn the power of waking that lets you put together people's hearts, and totally not a new device that they just introduced. And Mickey and Riku go out searching for the remaining other Guardians of Light, because they will have to inevitably clash with the other 13 versions of Xehanort because of his obvious fetish for numerals. And Sora finds out that Roxas, Ventus, and Xion are squatting in his heart. They find Aqua in the Realm of Darkness and bring her back from the brink. Aqua, now exorcised, finds the body of Ventus that is still sleeping in Castle Oblivion. They are then met by Vanitas, the evil dark clone of Ventus, as Sora, in an MLG move, learns the power of waking and returns Ventus' heart to him. With all the Guardians gathered, they go off to fight Xehanort and his other 12 cohorts because it was going to happen eventually, so they might as well get it over with, which was also a part of Xehanort's plan to create another Keyblade with an X by having the Keyblade wielders clash with the darkness, only to have Sora and party get unceremoniously wiped out. Then Sora finds himself in Limbo, where he eventually escapes with the help of Charity, a stuffed animal, and Kairi, to find the other scattered Guardians with the power of waking. Then travels back in time to defeat the darkness with all the people that played the mobile game in a moment ripped directly from Nier Automata. Then Sora and party split up and begin to defeat the Xehanorts one by one until Kairi is kidnapped again, because that's her narrative purpose.
Let go of me!
And we watch as Xehanort basically kills her in cold blood to provoke Sora into fighting him and thus complete the Keyblade, with an X, to finally open the real Kingdom Hearts after 18 years. Sora goes after him and in usual fashion kicks his ass with the power of the heart or camaraderie or whatever, as Xehanort concedes defeat and gets picked up by his buddy Eriquez to finally go die? Which seems pretty lenient after all the shit he's pulled. I mean, hell is canonically a place, right? Then, with the geriatrics defeated, the Guardians finally close Kingdom Hearts. Sora, however, decides to use the power of waking once more to find Kairi at the expense of his own heart, and jets off. And if you pay the $29.99, you can watch as Sora goes back in time again, traveling from heart to heart to recover pieces of Kairi from the other Guardians, but also somehow defeating Xehanort again, to show that Kairi wasn't completely useless after all, only about 70%. Finally, all the trios from the previous games get some closure, even the ones that had no bodies to begin with. How do you ask? Well, empty clone bodies, obviously. They all frolic together in a big beach party, and Sora gets Thanos snapped out of existence, finally closing the door on a saga that probably slipped out of Nomura's control years ago. Or so you thought. Then it's revealed that this was all a ploy to sow the seeds of his next installment of Kingdom Hearts. It's just a blatant f*** you to the people who kicked him off the FF13 versus /15 project. That kind of takes a shit on all the emotional investment that you put into these games all those years ago. Why can't you just let them love Nomura? Why? So whip out your Keyblades and post a selfie on Kingdom Hearts Instagram as you try to enjoy a game that will slowly make you realize that maybe your investment in this series died along with your childish ability to feel joy. And you accept that maybe this franchise really was just for kids, only to ugly cry during like half the cutscenes. Because even if you have a mortgage to pay now, it turns out all that's really important to you is that Sora and Kairi get to share the Paupu fruit in heaven or whatever. Starring Star-Crossed Loser, Liability, Dark Power Bottom.
Do I own that? Ha ha!
Medical Mallard Practice. He likes to yuck. Roxelcopter. Reformed Juggalo. Gone Girl. Heartworms. Face Off. Aqua Battery. X's gonna give it to ya. And No Mora. Fabula Kingdom Crystallis Reverses 3, over 420. I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this gonna end or not? It's not.